Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dream Team Tonic podcast, episode 88. Feels like it's been forever since the last show. Obviously, during the World Cup, we've not done much. Done a few articles and stuff for the patrons who've been showing their support. Big shout out to everyone who shows their support through the Patreon. It's much appreciated by me, Ben, and James. If you haven't got involved in the Patreon yet, get yourself across to patreon.com/Dream Team Tonic. Get yourself some early access to the podcasts, articles, the Discord group, which is we've got some top players in there, all chatting and giving each other advice. It's really helpful. Some really good things are going on. So if you like to show your support, head across there and get involved. It's the night after the night before. I don't think I've had a worse day of football in my many years of following football. Obviously, being a Blackburn Rovers fan and an England fan, it's never really a good combination. But after a crushing 4-1 derby defeat against Preston North End, and then watching England get eliminated from the World Cup, we're feeling great this morning. But we're here and we're ready to start concentrating back onto the normal game and get back involved in the Premier League game. So I'm Tony, if you don't know. With me, as usual, Ben. Are you there, mate?
I'm here, mate. You okay?
Good evening, mate. And welcome back to James. It's been a while, mate. With your Venezuelan exploration.
Yes, mate. It's been I haven't done a podcast since October, I think. So I'm back from Venezuela. But I might be heading out there again shortly soon to head up the Venezuelan branch of Dream Team Tonic.
Excellent. We are going international.
Make
sure we get a decent internet connection over there.
Hey, don't forget we did a podcast last week on the Patreon.
We did, for our patrons, so they got all the groundbreaking news that James is moving to Venezuela nearly a week early.
Yeah.
and we did some first drafts as well.
Yeah.
So get on the Patreon, guys, if you want early access.
Yeah. Obviously, moving out there. You're still going to be podding with us, aren't you?
I will be.
Changes. Yeah. Nothing changes. Just maybe a slight delay on the audio. Right. It's been a while, but let's get cracking. We've done a little draft. Ben, do you want to have a run through your draft team first for how you've used your unlimited transfers and how you're looking to attack this short set of fixtures in December when it returns?
Yeah, so my podcast team, it's got 54.1 million, which isn't very good. It's my 8th best team, so it's struggling. But I built a team here because obviously we're following this team for the podcast. So I've got De Gea in goal, 3.4 million. Lindelof, 2.2 million. So I've got him in at the moment because Martinez and Varane are guaranteed to be there till the end of the World Cup. So they probably will be rested. Obviously, the Cup starts 2 days later after the World Cup finishes, so they won't be there. They probably will miss the first match as well. So Lindelof could become Maguire if I change my mind, but he's 2.9 Maguire. He had a good World Cup, I thought. So and then I've gone for Trippier, 5.4 million. He's been the best defender apart from Cancelo so far this season. Bit of a Starman magnet. And then I've got a double defence of Leicester. So they're playing MK Dons in the Cup. So I've gone for Valtface and Castagna. Then in midfield, I've got Mahrez, because obviously didn't go to the World Cup, so should be fresh. Should play.
Should be a shoe-in, shouldn't he?
Yeah, should start. But look, I was looking at the midfielders actually today, the Man City ones. Pretty much all of them are back now. Well, you know what I mean, not back. They've all been knocked out of the World Cup now, so they should have a full squad for midfield squad anyway for the cup match.
Yeah.
He might not start, so that might change. Almiron, who's been on fire, unbelievable, 3.3 million bargain. He's got Bournemouth in the cup and then Leicester away. Maddison didn't play in the World Cup, but just been sat on the bench all the way through. He was on fire before he left for the World Cup, so I'm bringing him in. He might not play the MK Dons game, but we get to see the fixtures for Leicester versus MK Dons and Wolves versus Gillingham.
Yeah. That's a big one.
You
Yes,
mean the lineups, not the fixtures, don't
yeah.
you?
Sorry,
Yeah.
the lineups. Yeah, yeah. So if Madison don't start, I'll probably go Barnes, something like that. So
Yeah.
and then up front, I've got Haaland, obvious one. Salah, I think he's got to be in there. He's been brilliant the last few fixtures for Liverpool, and he's in the top 5 scoring point scorers in the game.
Yeah.
And then I got Rashford, who's been pretty good for United, and he looked all right in the World Cup, didn't he, as well? So
Yeah. Seems to have got that bug back, doesn't he?
yeah,
He
it looks
looks.
like he wants to play now. Last
Yeah.
season, he was well off the boil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Looks a different player again now.
Yeah, so what do you think?
I like it. Like you say, for the MK Dons game, getting to see that lineup's massive
Yeah,
because, I mean, Leicester have been doing well at the back. Obviously, Ward were keeping silly clean sheets, weren't he? Yeah, it's a decent little strategy to attack that MK Dons game. Maddison, yeah, it's depending on whether these lads are going to want to have some time off when they come back. I can't see it. I think what have we got now before? We've got a week, have we? Before a week and a half before these cup games.
yeah. So that I would imagine they'll all get a week off, and then
Yeah.
they'll be back just in time for a few days before the
A few
cup
days training
matches.
before the cup match. Is that?
Yeah.
I think we should be safe. I think Maddison possibly play.
Yeah, he probably won't play. Oh, I don't know. Will he play 90? Probably won't with the league starting against Newcastle. It's quite a tough match.
The only thing I would say on that point is that I haven't looked at Leicester, but most sides have got at least 5 days that I've looked at between that cup fixture and the league fixture, and you would think that would be enough. If it was 3 days, when you've got the Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, it's a bit different. But when you've got a minimum flight, what I can see, there might be someone with 4 days. I don't know, but the shortest gap I saw was 5 days. So I think there's a good chance that these managers might want to get their best sides out. And there's plenty of recovery time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, obviously, you want to get them out there playing, get that rust blown off, and then ready for the league. You can't beat playing games, can you? You train as much as you want, but match fitness is needed. And obviously, Maddison's not kicked a ball at the World Cup, so he's rustier than most.
Yeah, and he carried a little injury, didn't he, at the start of the tournament?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so it's possibly why he didn't get any minutes. He probably never really fully fit, but he were available.
Yeah, he was available for the Wales game.
Yeah, so I'm sure he should be all right. Yeah. What do you reckon, James?
Well, Ben's team's it's a bit Leicester heavy, isn't it? But we can expect nothing less. I mean, they that MK Dons fixture does look worth targeting. Yeah, it's a decent side, I'd say. Yeah, I like it.
I could even do Rashford to Vardy or Daka, whoever starts that match, and then move away to Kane or whoever I fancy. But Rashford's decent anyway if you just to sit in there because the fixtures are good for United.
Yeah, they have got some nice fixtures coming up.
Even Martial's back now, isn't he, as well? So if he starts, but we don't know because we ain't going to see the lineups.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, it's probably going to be Lindelof, Maguire at back, innit? And, I mean, Maguire looks shaky with his passing, but he had a very steady World Cup. His defending in the box were brilliant. Well, for most part of it. And he's always a threat up top, isn't he? It was good to see him. I don't know, back to a bit more like his usual
Yeah, it
self.
was.
So yeah, Maguire's a good option. I think he's 2.9 Maguire,
Yeah,
2.9 million. We know he's a bit of a Storyman magnet when he's winning them headers.
yeah.
He showed it in World Cup. He won the
He
highest
got
point scorers at World Cup,
he
weren't
got star man against Wales, I think. Was it? Was it one of the group matches? He got star
he?
man.
Yeah, just heading
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, USA, I think it was USA.
USA, that's the one. Yeah, we
Yeah.
remember Kosh, and he was just getting his head on everything.
Mm.
So yeah, Maguire might be a shout. Did have him in one of my drafts somewhere. Go over to mine. It's not too dissimilar. It's the same front three. I think a fresh Salah, fresh Haaland can't be ignored. They've obviously had a nice break, and then Rashford, who's obviously done all right at the World Cup, a few decent performances, and he does look like a different animal. He looks hungry to play football again now. So targeting United's nice little fixture run with Rashford. I was looking at doubling up on United defence. So, like, Pope could be De Gea,
Yeah. Might
Byrne
worth
could be
saving.
Maguire. I'm not set completely, but I think it's going to be a mixture of Newcastle and United for me at the back with Cancelo's in there. I know he didn't have the greatest of World Cups. I think he got dropped in the end, did he, for Dalot
Yeah.
or Guerrero?
Hello, yeah.
Dello, yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you can't ignore what Cancelo brings. He's always one of the highest point scorers. You're back at City. It doesn't concern me that.
Tony,
De Bruyne of it. What's that, mate?
will you be able to find your team values of both your teams?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So this one as well, because this is the one I'd stuck into thinking. It's not my actual podcast team. This is my best team.
All right.
So this one is at 59.9 million
Yeah.
budget.
I thought that you had Cancelo in there. I thought, oh, you must have a bit more money than I have. And De Bruyne.
Yeah. So I got the Pope, Cancelo, Byrne, Shaw, and Trippier. Midfield at minute, I've got De Bruyne in there. Obviously, he had a nice early exit with Belgium,
Yep.
so he should be fresh enough as well, ready to go for that Liverpool Cup game. Hopefully, one thing that does scares me a little bit is that we're not going to see the lineups for City, so we might lose a game there. But with it being Liverpool, I'm hoping he goes quite strong. So yeah, Gundogan, who obviously had another early exit with Germany.
Yeah.
Could be a shout. A nice 3.4 million for a City midfielder who can get in amongst the goals when he fancies. And Almiron, who's obviously is on fire for Newcastle, so he sneaks in there at 3.3 million as well. The total price of that team is 59.8 million. Like you say, having Salah, Haaland, De Bruyne, and Cancelo, as well as Trippier, because Trippier's quite priced at 5.4 million.
Yeah.
Just that extra little budget's helped that team to be able to get Cancelo. Otherwise, I'm probably looking at a budget player somewhere. But I'm happy enough with that for a minute. Obviously, things can change. But, what do you reckon, lads?
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It's a good team.
Is Byrne nailed on, do you think? Is he not fighting with Matt Target for that position?
Yeah, at left back. But then, did Shaw go off injured in World Cup?
I think he did.
So
Not too sure, to
I think he went off it with an injury.
So you think Byrne will be the shoe-in for the centre-back role then?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Big Dan Byrne as well. He's been doing all right at left back. I'm sure he's been keeping Target out of the team, so I can't see why it had changed over the break unless there's something going on. But
I think Byrne was playing anyway, wasn't he? I'm sure Target was injured. But yeah, he might be back now. But Dallow's the same price as Byrne as well. 3.5.
Yeah, Dallow's he looked good in the World Cup as well. The games he played, nice and attacking. I've avoided him because he still sat on a yellow and red card.
I think he played. I think he missed the last match. That was his suspension. I don't know why says. It does say on the Dream Team game he's still got a suspension.
Right, I didn't dig around, and that's why I removed him from the team. So obviously Shaw's in there as well. So that could be Dalot, or Byrne could be Dalot.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot more attacking. So and he was doing all right before his suspension. So he might be someone who goes into there. But yeah, I probably definitely have a couple of Newcastle, a couple of United at the back. Yeah. James, do you have a run through yours, mate?
Sure. Yeah, so I've gone for Kepa in goal. He had a decent little run for Chelsea when he got in the side, and then he got injured, and then they were out of form, and then got injured. I think he could be a good purchase at 3 million.
Yeah.
That could be De Gea because of United's fixtures. I've got Trippier, doesn't need any explanation. Dalot and placeholder of Gabriel at the moment. Not too sure about him because Arsenal's fixtures are a bit mixed.
Yeah.
In midfield, Miguel Almiron. I noticed he scored a couple of goals again in the Newcastle's friendly. So did Joe Linton, mind you. So I don't know what the quality of the opposition was like, but yeah, they played a side called Al Hilal. I don't know where they're from. Probably
Saudi
Dubai,
Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi
Yeah.
Arabian side.
So yeah, but he's keeping his shooting boots sharp. I've got Saka in there. I think 4.2 million for Saka's
Bargain.
pretty decent.
Yeah.
Foden, he's most at risk in this lineup. I think but only because is he going to play? Pep didn't play him that much at the end of last season. The end of the first part of the season.
Do you know how many people I've heard saying that end of last season?
Yeah, I know.
It happens so many times. They keep saying at the end of the season. But it's literally been. It has like the season's ended. We're just going to restart another one.
I've got De Bruyne in there as well. Up front, Haaland, Salah, and Nketiah. So Nketiah, 2.3 million could be an absolute bargain. The only question I've got really is whether I want to use a forward slot for him, but he's in there at the moment. I mean, he could be the ultimate enabler at 2.3. Jesus is out for a while, I think, isn't he? He's had a knee op, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've heard 3 months.
3 months, is it? Yeah. So surely it's Nketiah's time.
I have heard off my mate who's an Arsenal fan that they will be dipping into the January transfer market for a striker.
Really?
But I mean, for the time being, he's pretty much certain to start at least till probably mid-January.
Yeah.
If they do go and spend big on another striker, I mean, he's just signed a long-term contract, and I thought he'd have had more opportunities this season than what he's had. He looked good last year, didn't he?
Yeah, they've got some other options. I mean, I was reading a couple of days ago that Smith Rowe can play. It's like a false nine, so that could be another option. Obviously, Arteta's been schooled in the Pep Guardiola way of thinking, so you wouldn't be surprised if they didn't play with no striker or no recognised number 9 type figure.
Yeah, they got some threats from the wing, like with Saka, aren't they, and Martinelli on the other side as well.
Yeah. So it could be a way to get Smith Rowe into the side because he was sat on the bench when he was fit, quite a bit. So we'll see. But yeah, Nketiah in there, 2.3 could be a bargain.
Definitely. What's the value on that team?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I just picked my best side. So for next week's pod, I will definitely use my podcast team with the budget that one has.
I'm going to say, do you need Nketiah for the budget, or would you reckon? I can put Nketiah and he's sat there with 4 million in bank.
No, there's only 0.3 in the bank. I don't know what the overall is, but there's only 0.3 in the bank. So
he's a good option for that side, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
It allows you to have a striker from the big six. Excellent. Right, well, that's a quick run over our drafts of what we're thinking so far. It's always good to get back into it.
Yeah.
All I'm seeing is international players, and every international player I've been putting in has been eliminated. Whether that's English, Portuguese, Dutch. But yeah. Right,
What
on
do
to
you
the
mean?
listeners' question.
Do you mean
Mate.
do you mean during the World Cup dream team, you keep putting players in and keep getting eliminated?
Oh, yeah. You just get battered every time I put one in. Brazilians as well.
Brazilians, Portuguese, then English.
Yeah. I forgot I were meant to put the Croatians and the Moroccans in.
I know.
Jesus
Crazy, isn't it?
Christ. It is. Crazy game. But it's been fun. It's been fun. Right. Listeners' questions. First time in a while. And Aman is getting his money's worth. He's first up with 3 questions. We'll go through them. I'll be one. Will we see a different Liverpool like the one from last season, solid at the back, or will it continue in the same vein as this season, still conceding a lot of goals? Can we go with a Liverpool block with much confidence on the restart? James, our resident Liverpool fan, for you that mate.
I'm not convinced that we'll be any more solid than we were before the break. We'll still have our aging midfield. Teams, I'm sure, will still target Trent down our right hand side. So I don't really see, unless, I mean, a lot of the key members of that defence have been away at the World Cup. So it's not. Some people have been saying, I've been reading online, oh yeah, Klopp will sort them out in the West during the World Cup. West the World Cup's going on. Well, he can't, because Van Dijk and Trent and have been away, so that's not going to happen. So I personally don't see any difference on the restart. I hope there is, but why would it change? I don't think it will, if I'm honest.
No.
Yeah, so
Ben?
Konate's with France, isn't he? So
Yeah.
he won't be back. But Matip must be back fit now, is he?
Matip's fit. He played today.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's ready to go.
Yes, it'll be Van Dijk, Matip, Robertson, and Trent should all be back. Gomez he's like been shaky, and when he's played Joe Gomez, so I can't see him starting.
Well, one minute he looks like a world beater, the next minute he looks like a panel beater. So he did play today alongside Matip, and Milner filled in for Trent on the right hand side. Robertson obviously has been with the squad. It's been back in Liverpool for the whole World Cup.
Well, I'm having a look through the clean sheets of all the top sides of the last 10 games. And Liverpool kept 5 clean sheets in the last 10 games, which isn't that bad when you consider Newcastle, who have been on fire and their defence have been racking up the points. They've only kept 5 clean sheets in the last 10. Chelsea kept 3 clean sheets in the last 10. City, 5 clean sheets as well, so similar to Liverpool. So they haven't been that bad. The 2, or maybe even 3 standout teams is United have had 6 clean sheets in the last 10, which is pretty decent. They had a nice run of clean sheets. Arsenal have had 7 clean sheets in the last 10, which is pretty damn good. A lot of them Arsenal blocks are flying high on the overall leaderboard. And your lot, Leicester, have had 7 clean sheets in the last 10. So
incredible, isn't it? A change around from the start of the season.
Oh, unbelievable! Like we were sat here saying Rodgers got to go, and I've seen a lot of Leicester fans on the Twitter timeline saying like, "Why can't we get rid of him? He has to go." And then all of a sudden, something's clicked and different team.
Yeah, totally different team.
Fair play to the owners for sticking by him and not pushing that eject button too early. But yeah, I think that just shows that Liverpool haven't been too bad. I think it's just because we expect a lot more. And especially the prices their defence was originally, you're expecting more for your money, more points per million. But obviously now the prices are a bit lower. Matip being back is a big plus, I think. I don't know. I think that you've got just as much chances as any with a Liverpool block or a City block. We know what Robbo and Trent can do on as fullbacks. can get them attacking returns anyway, which sometimes you don't need the clean sheets for them. So, yeah. Next question from our man. Which players that you had in the first half of the season are you unlikely to have in the second half of the season? Ben, who you ditching?
To be fair, I'm not ruling out any players because you know that form can change and then the player will pop up. You at the start of the season was rubbish. Like look at Ward, Danny Ward. Everyone was going, everyone ditched him out of their FPL teams, and then they wish they kept
Yeah.
him. Like you said, 7 clean sheets out of 10.
Yeah,
So
unreal.
I'm not ditching. I mean, I'm not ruling out anyone really.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've got wrote down here. I've got Bowen, and then I've got, but I wouldn't write anyone off completely.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, form changes and obviously fixtures change. People can hit form and then you want them. So it's not something where I'd say I'm not putting him back in for the rest of the season, even if they have pissed me off a little bit and I've been a bit shy. But you reckon, James?
I read the question completely wrong and reversed it round the wrong way. So I don't have a decent answer for that one, unfortunately.
Well, moving swiftly on. And the last one for our man. Can we have a rundown of the penalties scored and missed by players for the big teams this season? Have you had a run through that, James? Or is that Ben?
Well, I've got the ones that have missed. I didn't. The penalty takers who've scored is a lot longer list.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. I suppose the missed ones are the most important ones, aren't they?
Yeah, so there's been a miss by Declan Rice, Mitrovic, Zaha, Kane, Bamford, Brennan Johnson, Gerard Bowen, Zaha, and Tielemans have all missed a penalty in the first half of the season. This is Premier League only, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Dean Henderson, the saving keeper on 3 of those occasions. Zaha, Harry Kane,
He was, yeah.
and Declan Rice.
England should have had him on the bench if they got to penalties.
That's it, I know.
And Troy, what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name now. The Brentford striker for the penalties as well.
Ivan Toney.
Yeah. I wouldn't have changed any. I wouldn't have give the penalty to anybody else but Harry Kane for that second penalty anyway.
No.
But if there was a shootout, it'd be nice
Yeah.
to have him on the bench, Ivan Toney.
Yeah, definitely. Yosi Sar's on that list twice as well. The Mitrovic and Brennan Johnson saves. Decent. Wilf Zaha, and they're missing 2. Sure, he's going to get taken off soon, hasn't he?
You'd think so.
Get off penalty duties, son. Anyway. Right. Next up, DT Patrick. In your opinions, who would be the best enablers? James.
Well, I've already mentioned him once tonight. Nketiah, 2.3 million is an absolute bargain. I guess can we up our definition of what is an enabler now that we've all got a huge budget to play with after judiciously making transfers throughout the first part of the season to make sure we could get any player we like. It's not quite panned out that way, has it? But we all do have better budgets. I would still put Almiron in the enabler category at 3.3.
Definitely.
And I think Dallo is still good at 3.5. So you've got a striker, a midfielder, and a defender there.
Could work. Ben?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Nketiah is worrying me a little bit though. Like if you put him in, have you got a plan to get rid of him if you don't go off?
Yeah, that's true.
3.3 is a big. Unless you can go to if you start with a 3-4-3, then you could move to a cheap defender then, maybe.
Yeah.
Or a midfield, or if you can do a midfielder as well. But yeah, I like the Nketiah shout definitely. Almiron was my pick as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to watch Nketiah start with, see how he goes, and then if he does bang, I'm going to bring him in because it'll enable me a lot more money to play around with.
Yeah,
What do you think, Tone?
I've got Almiron on my list
Mm.
and Ketia, and I don't know. I've got a little bit of a feeling about Gundog in the second half of the season. 3.4 million. I think he's nice and cheap. But yeah, very much. It's very much about Almiron and Ketia. I think they're the ones. They're the ones that could. Obviously, if you're needing budget, and Ketia's a massive opportunity for people playing in side that's top of the league up front. That's going to be creating chances. So yeah, not much different from you lads. They pick the same ones, so they must be decent. And second question from DT Patrick: how will you tackle the cup fixtures? E.g., would you advise for or against putting in 2 or 3 Wolves or Southampton players? Ben, how are you attacking them cup games?
I am looking at attacking the cup games and then moving on to the players I want for the rest of the month in January. So that's why I've got a few Leicester players in there, so I'll get to see the lineup, and then I might think about moving off either after the Newcastle game or before the Newcastle game. I do fancy us against Newcastle. You might think I'm mad, but we have been doing pretty well. Like you said, 7 clean sheets out of 10. But then after that, they've got Liverpool, Leicester. So just one to think about. Yeah, I like. The thing is with Southampton and Wolves, they've both got new managers, so
Yeah,
they could get that lift that makes them play better. And there's a lot of bargains in there. They've got decent fixtures as well. Start off with.
are all Wolves team not away with Portugal?
Um, well, they'll be coming home now, won't they? So it
Yeah,
should
they
be all
will.
right. Yeah, like Wolves have got Gillingham, Everton, then Man United at home, Aston Villa away. Southampton have got Lincoln at home, Brighton at home, Fulham away, Forest at home, and who was the other one?
Now we're at the
Oh
Wolves
yeah,
and Southampton players.
yeah. I was also looking at Brighton, who have got some cheapy defenders. Dunks like 1.7 million.
Hmm.
He plays every game. Nanya had a really good World Cup for Ecuador. I like him, but will he play every game? I don't know. But he's a quite attacking fullback. He's only 1.4 million.
Yeah,
So they play Charlton, Southampton away, and Arsenal at home, Everton away, and yeah, and then like I said Leicester before. So they're the teams that I think got decent cup matches that are not
yeah,
usual big teams. Obviously,
yeah,
Newcastle's doing well as well. Bournemouth, Leicester away, Leeds at home, Arsenal away.
yeah. James?
Well, it's certainly a risk with the new managers coming in, and of course, with Southampton, you won't get to see the lineup, so you could be putting in players that you're going to have to take out immediately. So I would probably shy away from a Southampton lineup unless you're really sure you know someone's going to play or which players are going to play.
Yeah,
Less so with Wolves because we get to see the lineup because that's on the 20th, which is the first fixture. So it's them and Leicester, isn't it,
Yeah,
that we get to see the lineups for.
yeah,
So I wouldn't be adverse to doing a Wolves one against Gillingham. They aren't doing too great in the football league pyramids. So yeah, why not give it a go? But yeah, I would be more inclined to do it for Wolves than Southampton just because of the lineups.
yeah, definitely. No, I agree with them. Them lineups are massive. And if you are going to attack the games, the cup games, Wolves and Leicester are the 2 teams. I think I will be doing a Wolves block and a Leicester block in a few of my lesser sides, and just trying to give them a nice boost. will I risk it in one of my better sides? I think I might go for the attacking players. Maybe a couple. If say Vardy's starting against MK Dons, he might be a nice risk. Just it's one transfer out of your 5 that you're going to have
Yeah.
just for the very end of the thing. Yeah, could just. But maybe an example would be to put Vardy in, and then maybe take him out and put Rashford back in after the Gillingham game. But seeing them lineups is huge. Putting a Leicester block in, I mean, it's like you said, Ben. If we'd have gone Leicester blocks for the last month or so before the World Cup, we'd have been doing all right. It'd have been a very good differential. You shot up them leagues, so
Yeah,
why not now?
in the last month, my worst team, I went for a Leeds block instead of a Leicester block. If I went for the Leicester block, I would have been laughing.
Yeah,
In my worst team, just to try
yeah,
and do something different because it was a short month anyway.
yeah. Completely agree. So yeah, there's the risk, but it's a risk worth taking, I think. Next up, Lee Hooper. 2 questions here. 1, with City leaking goals before the break and Cancelo off colour, is there a case for leaving him out? Ben?
Well, it depends on your budget as well. Like you've that team you've shown us before that had a high budget, wasn't it? What was it?
Yeah,
57 million?
59. That one, yeah.
59, sorry, yeah. So like if you've got that much money you can get him in. But in my case with my podcast team it's only 54 million. I'm gonna probably overlook him this time because you can pick some decent defenders for a
Yeah,
lot less money, and they're doing pretty well points wise. Like you got your Trippier's, he's a 1.4 cheaper, but then like Gabriel's fourth highest scoring defender, he's 4 million. Then you got Dallo 3.5, and there's other ones like Newcastle defenders.
yeah,
So there's a few options. And Man United have got a few cheap defenders as well. They've got a nice run of games. So if you can get your value up with the cheap ones, and then you can move back onto Cancelo later on, and
yeah.
hopefully,
Breaking news
hopefully,
about Dallo. Sorry,
yeah,
mate. Obviously, Dallo might be injured, so that's scuppered some of our plans in our teams.
yeah,
There's a word that he's got a serious-looking hamstring injury that you've just heard, haven't you, James? So we'll monitor that.
Dallo came off with what looks like could be a serious hamstring injury. So he's potentially not an option. And when you consider the first choice centre backs are not in there as well, that might be too much upheaval to consider. To consider the United defence when you think about who's going to come in on those positions. It might be a stretch too far to expect them to start to keep their fairly decent defensive form going with all that upheaval.
Yeah. What do you reckon? Just the thought off my head. I know it's going a little bit off the Cancelo subject. Whilst it's in my head. What about Bruno Fernandes? Now Ronaldo's been sacked. Back on penalties, I'm pretty certain. Captain, he's had a good World Cup. A few dodgy dives in there and stuff like that, but he's not a person I particularly like. But as a dream team asset, what do you reckon?
definitely an option for this month with Burnley, Forest, Wolves, Bournemouth, and then Everton in the cup at the start of next month. It's definitely worth a punt. Like you said, he should be on penalties as well, and he'd be the main man in the team. Could get star man. Definitely an option.
Yep, like I say, it was off topic. But back to Cancelo, James. What do you reckon of him?
Well, his form before the break was pretty bad. I mean, if you look at his average for the last 3, it was minus 1.7. Average for the last 5 was 0.8.
Yeah,
That's not what you want from an asset that's going to cost you 6.8 million.
Yeah.
But I would say form is temporary, class is permanent with somebody like Cancelo. He don't forget as well, of course, he's probably the most nailed on player in that defence.
Yeah.
So and the others are. It's a it's a it's a
Not
toss up as to who plays, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a lottery.
So if you can afford him, like Ben was, I think Ben was what Ben said was great. I mean, if you can afford him, I would have him in. But if you need a sacrificial player, then there are some good other options, like Ben said.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in the back line, isn't there? So if you've got a team that's probably got a little bit of a lesser budget, you're gonna sacrifice Cancelo before you're gonna sacrifice a Salah or a Haaland. Like Cancelo's gonna be the one that's gone because you've got more value in that back line.
This wild card or unlimited transfers is really good, I think, for this year because it's going to mix it up a bit, and people are going to pick different players. Teams that are chasing are going to pick different blocks. It's going to be interesting to see what people do.
Yeah, I mean, the whole leaderboard could turn upside down.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like he's literally like starting the season again. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these teams come back from this break. I think City could probably have done with a break. Like I say, Cancelo averaging shocking amount in the last few games with the red card, and then he came back and they got beat off Brentford at home. Yeah, it weren't a good few weeks for people with Cancelo, and I was one of them. And I actually jumped on the City block as well, going into the last few games,
me
which
too.
I still saying it was the right play, but it hurt me. It took me out like from what was I up like 7th or 8th,
Yeah,
and then all the way down to I think I'm 600th now. So,
ouch.
it just
but
proves
like I
how
said,
close it is, though. Still
yeah,
at the top, if you can move to 600th.
definitely. I mean, I had such a horrible couple of weeks. I couldn't score any points basically. Yeah, but I mean, given the choice at the start of the season, that when we restart at the end of December, I'm starting from 600th position to attack. I'd take that.
Take that.
Take that, definitely. Budget could have done better, but that got battered in the last few weeks because obviously I weren't scoring points. The players were high value; they were coming down 0.3s here, there, and everywhere. So, yeah, Cancelo for me, I think being the nailed-on player he is. If you've got the budget, get him in. 7th highest scorer in the whole game at the minute. His form will turn around, as will City's, and he'll pick up plenty of points. Second part of Lee Hooper's question: I haven't owned Salah all season, but he's a fresh Salah now a must-have over a knackered Kane. What do you reckon, James?
Well, I think when Lee wrote this question, he probably thought that England were going to go a bit further in the World Cup. So I don't think Kane is necessarily going to be knackered. He's going to get a bit of time off. He might be mentally scarred. We've seen it before with the likes of Chilwell. I think Mason Mount, but maybe as well when coming off the back of those Euros and not looking like the player that they were the season before. And some of them have come out, I think particularly Chilwell came out and said, it affected me,
Yeah.
and you do wonder if what Kane missing that penalty will affect him. You would think not, because he's a captain, a leader, and you would think he'd be able to get over something like that, I think. But you wouldn't also on the same side, you wouldn't be massively surprised if he did have a little bit of dip in form. So yeah, I would err towards Salah anyway, but Kane is 0.7 cheaper. Yeah, what do you think, Ben?
I think he'll just want to have a little break, and he'll be back in training, ready for the game against Brentford. He plays every game, near pretty much every minute of every game for Tottenham. I just think he's a great option. I didn't have him at the end of the first half of the season, and it proper hurt me in my podcast team. I was doing all right, and then I took him out for I think I took him out for Skamaka, who was doing well, just to bring some money in to get KDB, and it just didn't work because Kane was just plodding along, but he wasn't really doing anything. But those 8 points every week, it still gets you up there, doesn't it? So yeah, I think I think I'm looking to get him in as soon as I can. Obviously, they don't play in the cup, so it's like a blank fixture the first week for them, and then they play Brentford, Villa, Palace, and Portsmouth in the cup, in the FA Cup. So yeah, so I'll be looking to get him in.
Yeah, it could be one of them.
Getting both of them in.
It's actually 1.7 million, not 0.7 million. The difference in price between them.
Wow.
Can you ever remember a time when Harry Kane was 6.9 million? That's it's pretty cheap for him, isn't it? Really?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Like you said, a guy who plays 90 minutes week in, week out. He's nailed on starter and he's on penalties. Obviously, he gets him on target. It'd be nice, but I think he is blaming himself. Isn't he? He's come out on Twitter and like put an apology. And I mean, yeah, he's a seasoned pro though. I think he'll brush it off. He'll give his head a wobble and he'll come back fighting. He's a top pro.
Do you think him being against his Tottenham teammate in goal, Lloris? Do you think it was a bit of a mind fuck for him?
I do, yeah. I thought on the first penalty, I thought, fuck. The last thing you want is these guys have been practice penalties in training.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
for Spurs. I mean, how many penalties were you taking Lloris? And then when he buried the first one, my mate was saying here, saying about would you swap penalty taker? And I'm like, no. And even now, even after he's blown that fucking penalty, you wouldn't change penalty taker.
No,
you wouldn't. And it's all. Do you know what I mean? In hindsight, people say, we should have changed penalty takers.
The second penalty, I was more confident for that than I was for the first one because I was thinking, Lloris knows him.
Yeah.
I was thinking, this could be dodgy, but he scored it, and then I thought the second one, he'll score this.
Yeah.
I didn't say it out loud, but like I thought to myself, I felt more confident with the second penalty. I thought he'll score this one.
I mean, one thing you didn't expect him to do was smash it over the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, if Lloris saved it, it wouldn't have surprised me. But ballooning it over at bar was a shock. But we played well. But yeah, I've looked some at obviously in some teams maybe a Vardy. If Vardy starts against MK Dons, I'll be looking at Vardy and keeping a few coins at the side to have Kane, Salah, and Haaland. Obviously, in some teams that might make you have to sacrifice a Cancelo or a De Bruyne or someone of that price. But yeah, them three players, they're going to be three of the top, 6-point scorers in the whole game come the end, you would expect. So
so Lee, get Salah in.
yeah, definitely have Salah in. A fresh Salah. He started to look more like the player we know, didn't he, towards the end of the first half of the season. So, Baz Bestos has been on. It's probably a little bit of a similar question to what Patrick asked about the Wolves and Southampton players. If you were slightly short of funds to get the ideal team, if you were like 0.4 or 0.8 short, do you think going with a Wolves block against Gillingham, banking on the clean sheet to get the price rise, then using your December transfer allowance is a viable tactic if you were just shy of what you need for your ideal team? So basically, you're saying take a risk that Wolves get the clean sheet, all your players rise in value, that you can switch across and use that to get the ideal players that you wanted and that you couldn't quite afford. What do you reckon, James?
Well, it's certainly an interesting tactic. And she'll obviously get to see that team sheet before kickoff. I would say if you think you're gonna go with that, make sure you've got a backup plan just in case he throws a curveball with that team sheet, and you're thinking, I know you're thinking about moving off of them, but some of those players might not even be on Dream Team. If he plays reserves, so make sure you've got a backup plan in reserve. I think he probably will play his strongest side because they've got 6 days before they play Everton. And, new manager in there is going to want to start off with a win, isn't he? Just to get that momentum going straight away. So I don't think it's a crazy strategy at all. It could work. It could also backfire horribly.
Yeah, it
But
could.
no, I think it's a decent strategy that.
Yeah, it could. You could end up stuck, couldn't you? But and you could have even less value. Be trying to get them out. They might get battered off Gillingham. But yeah, it's. I know. Did Saiz go off injured?
He's left now. He's at Besiktas.
Did Saiz not at Wolves?
No, he's
No,
Fucking hell. Where
I
are they?
looked up that earlier, and yeah, he's Ben's right. He's at Besiktas.
So
Yeah,
they got rid of Saiz. Cody went to Everton.
yeah.
So I know Kilman's been playing, hasn't he? Young lad Kilman, who was all
yeah.
right. Who's been partnering Kilman? Because Bowley went to Everton.
The
Bowley went to Forest as well.
yeah, the centre off from Burnley last year. What's his name?
Oh, Nathan Collins.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
the one. That's the one. Right. When I seen Saiz go off injured for Morocco, I think, that's a blow. Because obviously I'm already thinking about Wolves' blow. Yeah.
yeah, and
Surprising.
I think Collins was injured or I think got suspended or something, and then they played like Johnny at centre back, and they played Totti as well. There's a player called Totti,
Yeah.
but he's not on the game. They've added Bueno though now because DT Patrick he put in the Discord that he sent a message to the Dream Team and they've seemed to have added him now. So he's 2.5 million Bueno.
There's Ryan Anori on there.
Yeah, Aitnor is on there 3 million. Yeah,
He's a decent option if he gets a
he's on
run
set
out against
pieces. Yeah,
Jordan. Yeah. Nice attacking fullback.
yeah. Just make sure you
Yeah.
have a plan to get off it. If
Yeah,
it
that's
goes
it.
wrong, you might have to move off on the Thursday night or something if they concede.
Mm.
But they do have decent fixtures, so if you trust them to get a clean sheet in the league, surely they're being drilled over this break by the new manager Lopetegui.
Yeah. Yep. Could be a new manager bounce coming in.
Yeah,
A few clean sheets back to back. Could
Wolves
be an
have always
absolute.
Wolves have always been quite a strong team at the back anyway, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They struggled going
Just can't
forward.
score goals. Yeah,
Yeah, but defensively they've always looked quite solid. You're just worrying a little bit that Saiz, Bowley, when we said that left,
Cody.
Cody.
Yeah,
It's like that was one of them. They were three probably the mainstays since being back at Premier League.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting. See how they do here. New look back line and a new manager. Our man's back on again. I didn't see this one down here. Is Nketiah at 2.3 a gift we shouldn't turn down? I think we know what we've already discussed this, haven't we? I think he's a very good option. 2.3 million to enable you to get in a De Bruyne or a Cancelo if you wanted them. So yeah, we know he's a good option. DT Patrick, which players and which teams do you feel will have been most affected by World Cup excursions? And will this affect your team decisions, at least initially, when you're building your drafts? What do you reckon, Ben?
Well, yeah. As we did on the Dream Team Tonic podcast last week, the team I picked all players that were already out of the World Cup or didn't qualify. And now, as we've gone to the semi-finals now, obviously you can see like England players are back now. Portugal players should be back as well, so on. So, yes, the players that it's going to affect is the Argentinian players, the French players, and the Moroccan players that are playing in the Premier League. I don't think there's any Croatian players that play in the Premier League that went to the World Cup.
Yeah, there's Kovacic and
Oh
Perisic.
yes. I think I was looking for options in players, but I wouldn't consider them options. If Perisic was a defender, I would consider him.
Yeah.
But
Be a decent option as a defender.
but then again, thinking about it, Perisic was playing higher up, wasn't he? While Son was injured at the end of the first half of the season.
Yeah, he did. Well, Sonny should be back now.
Yeah.
We know Richarlison's fit.
Yeah. So it won't
Kulusevski's back, so I would have thought he'd go back to the wing back role.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so like you say, Portugal were probably expected to get through to semis. England not so much, but like I say, when you're doing them drafts, you were probably expecting like the likes of Cancelo, Fernandes, the Portuguese players to at least be there till the end then.
Yeah.
So they would have been somebody you're looking at. But it seems now with the results of the last couple of days that most teams are going to have all their players back.
Looks
I
like it
mean,
now, yeah.
I mean, United are probably the ones that are suffering the most with Martinez and Varane. Obviously,
Yeah.
both there now until the end of the tournament. It will then probably once a week or 10 days recovery before coming back into training, into the squad. So I think United are probably most affected at this moment in time.
I've got
Reckon
four.
James.
I
Oh, go
got
on.
sorry. I got 4 players like I've liked the look of that. I know that are not going to be back until after the World Cup now. So, like you got Martinez, Varane, Saliba, and Alvarez who plays for Argentina. So,
Yeah,
but he won't come straight back in now, will he? Into the team because they're going to be playing there till the 7th, at least the 18th, 17th.
yeah,
The finals on the 18th. So, yeah.
yeah. And James.
So yeah, I agree about United. Spurs have got a few still there. Obviously, you've got Lloris, Romero, and Perisic, and of course Kane. Like we said earlier, could be affected by this. So if I had to pick a side other than United, I'd go Spurs because that's 3 first choice teams. I mean,
Yeah,
the goalie, does that count? I mean, you don't get tired. You might, I suppose, you mentally, you might, even if you win or lose, it
yeah,
can affect you mentally. Romero is clearly probably their best centre back when he's fit,
yeah,
and obviously Perisic is a mainstay in the side. So you could argue Spurs might be affected.
yeah. It's a good shout about Spurs. Think about Romero. Lloris, like I said, I don't know. That is the captain. Is he captain Lloris
Yeah,
Spurs?
Spurs captain.
Yep.
Yeah, he always looks a bit shaky to me, Lloris. Are they
Not
going
shaky enough for my liking.
to?
Could have let in a few, couldn't he, for us?
Yeah, he could have made some good saves. Yeah, Spurs, United. I think everybody else has pretty much got away with it, really. City will get the players back soon enough. Obviously, Bernardo Silva, Grealish, Foden, Calvin Phillips.
Guardiola's
Yeah.
going to be happy.
Oh, he's definitely going to be happy. Yeah, getting them back a week earlier than expected. So, yeah, United and Spurs probably the most affected there. Like you say, you touched on about United. Obviously, they've got some plum fixtures, but missing the 2 centre halves, the main centre halves, that have probably shored them up for this decent run of like this resurgence they've had. Obviously, Martinez came into the side and it had a big effect. And then Varane came alongside him when he got back fit. And that has been a bit of a boost for them. Going back to Maguire and Lindelof, I mean, yeah, it could be it could affect the decision going forward. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I hope Maguire comes back and plays as well as he did for England because
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
had a lot of stick.
He did have a good tournament, but he was napping for that Giroud goal, wasn't he? Let's be
was.
honest.
He was. As I said, he was great most of the time in both boxes. But yeah, he was asleep for that. Ghosted in there, didn't he, Giroud? But it happens. It happens. Another DT Patrick question. With a limited budget, I can't get as many big hitters as I would like. Haaland seems the only untouchable one. So from Salah, Kane, KDB, Cancelo, which one would you sacrifice? Pretty similar to what we were just gone over as we touched on Cancelo, but I'll ask you, James, who?
If I had to choose out of those, it would be Cancelo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll have to be Cancelo just because of the good value defenders that are in the game at the moment have been scoring goals. They're scoring points so far this season. You can build pretty decent defense with cheaper defenders.
Yeah, definitely. I third that. Cancelo, yeah. Right, Dream Team Professor. Would you be concerned with the players like Cancelo and KDB's poor showing at the World Cup, or do you think they'll be back at the top of the game, surrounded by that City team? James?
I wouldn't be concerned about that. You never know; it might have the opposite effect. They might go, right, I'm going to come out and show everyone I'm not crap. It's just when I've I mean, playing in that City side, they're going to be better, aren't they? Going to be back to their old selves. I don't see it affecting them. Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about their performance in the World Cup personally.
No. Ben?
Yeah, completely agree with James there. Yeah, what do you think, Tony?
Yeah, same. Like I say, I mean, Cancelo and KDB obviously had a bit of a shaky run with City before they went to the World Cup as well, but yeah, Belgium, great pretenders, aren't they? Got a cracking squad and just haven't done anything with it. A bit like what England have been like for years and years. But yeah, like you said earlier, James, form's temporary, class is permanent. These are top players, and they'll produce, and no doubt about that. Matt Woolley, with 10 transfers across a fairly short number of matches in December and January, will you be looking to hop on and off quick punty opportunities, or quickly get to a position where you're able to hold transfers until the end of each month to set up for the next? Ben?
Yeah, well, as you've seen with my draft, I'll probably be targeting that cup matches at the start of the fixtures, and then moving towards the teams that I want for the rest of December and January. What would you do, Tony?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a mix of both those throughout my teams. I think I will have a little bit of a punt, but then pretty much the core of the team is going to be set up for the end of December and
definitely.
going into January. So I might have a few punty stabs at a few. Like I said, I'll mention it again. Vardy against MK Dons if he plays. I won't be able to turn that one down, I don't think. I'm definitely using a transfer on that. And then hopefully, injuries and suspensions aside, if I built the core, had a couple of punts, maybe pick a few price rises up somewhere along the line. When it hits January, I've got 5 transfers, but my team's set for January. And I can then hopefully ride out the majority of that month, holding most of those transfers, and then be a set of transfers ahead going forward into February to March, April. That is the ideal. Obviously, we know with football, it doesn't usually happen like that. Things change, injuries and suspensions always usually get in the way. So, but that is the plan. That is the plan. I definitely think it's worth having a few punty attacks at a few players. Like, I mean, a Harvey Barnes, a Maddison, cracking fixture for that for Leicester. They could go there and run riot, especially if Rodgers puts out a strongish team. And like I say, Wolves against Gillingham. Would it be wrong to throw in a Wolves attacking asset there? I don't know. There's going to be opportunities. I think it's worth taking up. What do you reckon, James?
I think you boys have covered that pretty well, to be honest. I would say, given the fact you've got a wild card, the rest of your squad should be nicely set up. So, as long as you don't go for too many punts, I think you can afford to have a couple of punts within your wild card, and then use those transfers for some to jump on opportunities. I would don't be saving too many for the end of the month. It's only a short month. And then you get another 5 anyway, so it's not worth it.
Yeah, your team should, like you say, with the wild card, your team should be set pretty much for. Like it's so short. You are literally prepping for January anyway, because you're not just looking at the 2 games in December. You're looking at the first big bulk of January when you're setting your team up. So, because obviously we're always playing fixtures and fixture quality, fixture quantity. So we're always going to be setting up for into January with this wild card. So yeah, a couple of punts, use a couple of transfers. That's the way I'm going to attack it. Right, final question. From Coddy on Twitter, Coddy Gooner. First one, who's the GOAT? Ben, who's the GOAT, mate?
Who's the goal? What in Dream Team?
I'm guessing in world football.
Well, football. You'd have to say Messi now, wouldn't you? What do you mean, like out of current players or
Yeah.
of all time?
We'll go out of current players.
Yeah, I'd say Messi. I did like Ronaldo, but he's proper gone off a boil now. He's with his whinging.
Yeah.
He's like a spoilt child, isn't he?
Yeah, he seems to be ruining his legacy.
Yeah.
He seems to be trying everything to ruin
He
his legacy.
walked straight off the pitch against Morocco. He didn't like thank the fans or anything.
Yeah, I said to my missus, I pointed it out. I said, what he's doing? He's making it all about him.
Yeah.
I said, all his teammates from that field, some of them obviously congratulating the Moroccan players, some of them consoling each other and this, that, other. Ronaldo straight down tunnel crying. So cameras are on him. I mean, I've not seen the papers, but I'm guessing that picture was probably spread across them all. Like Ronaldo's been eliminated. Well, no, actually, with Portugal, they've been better off not taking him. Big ego. He's just all about him. Selfish guy. So yeah, my answer's Messi. What about you, James?
I'm going to go. I'm not even going to get involved in that Winker debate. I'm going to go Jan Molby. Greatest midfielder who ever lived.
Jan Molby, Jesus Christ. Oh, you are then, James. First answer this one. Who's going to win the World Cup?
Bloody France, I expect.
Yeah. Ben?
Morocco.
Hey, wouldn't surprise me.
They're going out in the next round, surely.
I had a cheeky bet on them before the Portugal game. So hopefully...
What, to win it?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Yeah, before the...
What did you get, 1,000,000 to 1 on that?
35-1.
You're thinking back to that season where Leicester won it and you didn't put the bet on, aren't you?
They remind me a bit of like Greece, in the Euro.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just solid at the back and counter-attacking and set pieces.
Yeah. That keeper's unreal.
Bono, yeah.
He's brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, I fancy Argentina. I think Messi's going to win that World Cup.
It'd be written in the stars if it did.
Yeah, I do. I think we've shown France aren't that great.
Yeah,
they're a very good side, but I think we were better than them. Some would argue we're not a great side.
Yeah, I don't think any of the sides were a great side in the World Cup. I think we if we got through there, we would have won it. If we beat France, I think we've got a good squad. Just didn't happen on the night. Like,
it feels like another missed opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, penalties. Like, it's just if he scored that penalty, he could have gone on and got another one. It would have been a hat trick. You know what I mean? And then it would have been like, wow, Harry Kane hat trick.
And then when he got beat off Morocco in semis.
Like Iceland.
Probably the most England thing to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, be like Iceland all over again.
Oh, yeah. That was horrendous.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Right, and the third question from Coddy. Any tips on how to get better at picking players? Every player I pick seems to not work. James?
Well, you've got to... There's no substitute for the eye test, is there? You've got to watch these players. You've got to analyse their form. You've got to look at the stats and you've got to look at the fixtures. And if you combine all those things consistently, you'll get better at picking players. I know it sounds pretty obvious, but maybe he's going for two punty options. Maybe he's following his heart and not his head. Yeah. Being a gooner, perhaps he's I don't know.
Not putting Harry Kane in.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's all I'd say on that one. Any thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, it might sound obvious, but just pick the best players with the best fixtures. Try not to pick daft players like Diego Costa or something like that. I don't know. I just think just try and be safe. Don't go too mad picking silly players like Che Adams or something. You know what I mean? Pick the best players from the best teams with the best fixtures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Dream Team, it's about when those European fixtures come. If you,
Yeah.
there might be some new listeners to the pod. I'm sure 95% of the people out there that listen to us know this, but you need to maximise your fixture volume where you can. That's key to doing well in Dream Team.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Fixture volume,
Uh,
fixture quality.
The two examples I've just picked out there, Che Adams and Diego Costa, they've got good fixtures for the first few games. Probably score hat tricks in the cup.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Diego Costa against that Gillingham backline.
Gillingham backline, yeah.
Wasn't he injured or suspended or?
He got
I don't
sent
know.
off, didn't he?
He did get sent off. Yeah,
I don't know if he's
Is he-
suspended for the League Cup game.
it
Yeah,
depends
I
what it
don't know
was
if he's
for,
back.
doesn't it? How long the suspension is. I'm not too sure, but he did get a red card. Yeah,
You have to keep an eye on that.
yeah. And that wraps up the questions.
Brilliant.
Obviously, there's no mini league top 10 to go through, and all that jazz, the latest ins, outs, and all that. We are back next weekend.
Yeah.
Possibly. For an episode before the League Cup games in the midweek. We'll clarify what date that's going to be on. Not too sure yet.
Somebody's birthday next weekend, isn't it, James?
It is. It is. I'm a little bit worried about podcasting on the Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. We'll be back with some sort of episode. But yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. It's good to be back. Let's get back to it. Let's get attacking that top 100. Cheers, guys.
Let's do it. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys.